Welcome to After the Show, your weekly movie podcast brought to you by Ascully and Sid Talk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? Hello, Sid Talk. Hello, listeners. Hello, and welcome to After the Show. Hello, how are you doing?
Good. I can only answer for myself. I'm
feeling good?
fine.
Feeling good?
Yes.
Yes. Everything's good. Any news?
News?
Yeah. Before the After the Show discussion, news.
For the after the show discussion was just us talking randomly.
Setting up the microphones.
Talking about seeds and stuff, gardening, sound. We don't want to go into that.
Sounds.
You'll nerd out on the sound.
Yeah. I added
That's
some
fine. It's
new
fine in
sound.
private, but we don't want to take that public.
All right. So it is. I don't even have my show notes.
Uh-oh.
I'm like Ron Burgundy. I don't know what to do. It's Saturday, September the 30th. It's fall, Sid Talk. Sure feels like fall outside.
It does not. It's 95.
This is After the Show. We're a movie review podcast. Every week we look at a new movie. And on episode 806, we're looking at the movie Gran Turismo. It's a 2023 movie. You can get it now on streaming. It's PG-13. And it's from PlayStation Studios and Sony. Sid Talk, give us the synopsis of the movie Gran Turismo.
I think you better. You're in love with gaming. So
I'll give you the one off the box then.
No, you give us yours.
It's the true story.
No, you are.
No,
okay.
I'm saying
let me
mine.
let me do
mine.
it through your eyes then.
This is mine.
This is yours from my perspective. Your thing is like, it's a movie about a video game thing, and I love it.
There's a video game that I've played almost my entire life.
No, that's not true.
Since I was in my 20s.
Maybe not. What year did it start?
From my 20s to my 50s.
What year did Gran Turismo start?
In my 20s, for sure. With the PlayStation 1.
Oh, okay.
Well, to put it in perspective, the latest video game is Gran Turismo 7.
Yeah.
So it's been going for a while. So yeah, it's a video game, racing game. I've played it most of my adult life. I'm a big fan of it. This is a movie based on the video game, but also based on the true story of a competition that Sony and Polyphony Digital held to enable sim racers, as they call them, people who play PlayStation Gran Turismo in the bedrooms, to win this competition and become real life race drivers.
Yeah, let's just go back a little bit. It's not based on the video game at all. It's just a racing movie. So in the movie,
the game is featured in the movie.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's not based. So when people hear that, they're like, "Ew," just like I did. Ew, a movie based on another game. It's not that at all. It's just about car racing, but the origins of a professional car racer starting with the video game.
Correct. And I'll give you the one off the box. It also says, based on the unbelievable, inspiring true story of a team of underdogs, a struggling working-class gamer, a failed former race car driver, and an idealistic motorsport executive who risk it all to take on the most elite sport in the world.
That's it.
That's pretty much it.
Boring, but all right. Acceptable.
So, Sito, what did you think of the movie, Gran Turismo?
I enjoyed it very much.
And you said last week, well, I'm not interested in a movie about Gran Turismo.
Not about Gran Turismo, the game, no. But a real story about people doing stuff, I always like.
And then I said to you, well, it's not really about the game. It's a true story. And you went, true story about that game?
Yeah. Because I didn't know this whole thing existed. So.
Maybe you thought, oh, it was just about the development of that game. No,
I thought they'd made up a bunch of stupid fucking characters to be driving in this race called Gran Turismo and pretend that that's a thing.
That's the lazy version of this movie.
Yeah, that was my lazy brain filling that in. So, no, we're good. It was good. I enjoyed all of it. I think it was really well done. I completely cared about everybody. I cried. I laughed. I was like in shock sometimes. I was invested. Because at some point I'm like, please don't let anything bad happen. Please don't let anything bad happen to this person. So that means I was invested.
It's not really anything new. It's a sports movie with an underdog. We've seen that a billion times, right? Rocky,
Mm-hmm.
Many different... We saw a movie recently, didn't we, where it was underdog. Well, it's just the underdog story. It takes place in the racing world. But it does have this unique thing where this kid races video games in his bedroom. He's never been in a real-life racing car. All of a sudden, he does so well in this video game, he gets to be on a racetrack with other racers. And that's the unique thing about this movie, I think.
I think you skip over the part where he's not just interested in... He doesn't just sit, like everyone says, in their bedroom.
He's a petrol head, as they call it.
He's interested through the game, because the game displays and has you interact with every part of the car. So you learn how to buy and interact with, yes, it's digital, but if it's telling you have 17 different types of brakes and all the different things to do with the brakes, then you learn this brake is better for doing this kind of race, and this car is better for that, and this tire is better for this or that or the other. That's what he was really into, was like the whole thing, not just like sitting there and driving fast around the corners. That might be what it sounds like, because that's me. I don't care about the car. If I get to sit down to a racing game, I just want to put the pedal to the metal and just go. I don't care about when you're supposed to lift off the clutch and raise up on your thing and only brake here and wait till you're half a second into the corner and all that shit. I just want to go fast. He is the person who basically learned the car from the inside out, and then he really feels it when he's driving it, virtually, but in a reasonable way that makes him so connected to it that he's able to transfer that to actually driving one of the cars.
They do it really well. The director here does they do this fancy special effect where it takes him from his bedroom racing his little, sim rig with his wheel. And then all of a sudden he's in a real car and it's digitally imposed over the top.
Yeah, it's really good.
And they even do it down, when he's doing that main race at the end, they do this exploded view of the car. He's driving down the straight. The car just kind of explodes into a million different pieces. And they're all the little pieces that he's thinking of in the car, right? Like the engine, the piston, all the little screws.
I'm guessing it is the virtual every part in the game that they have simulated and they've scanned in a 3D model of it. And now they just get the opportunity to give you this really cool exploded look of the car, but it's every nut and bolt, everything just floating around him, which was very cool.
Now,
it's not that the movie's set flash over substance either, because it looks good. The races are really good. The visual, everything, every shot looks really nice.
It's easy to follow because racing can sometimes be hard to follow.
Right, but I'm just talking it's not just looks over substance. It's actually a good story, and I like the people.
Yeah, it does have some good actors in it. We'll get to that later. But at first, if I had any negatives, right at the very beginning of the movie as it starts, it's very clunky. The dialogue feels clunky to me. It's trying to explain to everybody what this is. Because how many people are going to be looking at a guy racing a car in his bedroom going, what's that?
Yeah, but they have to. I didn't think that at all. I thought it was exactly right, because I tried to put my mind in a person if it was my mom watching this movie. You have to show what a big deal it is to buy that steering wheel that he bought for his setup to play the game at home. That's a big deal. And then talking to his friend, and then the friend telling him to get online and race with another guy and all that kind of stuff, and him being like, okay, fine, I'll race. I feel like that was all really good.
He was kind of
for a person who has no clue about this world.
And you do have some clue because from me, you've heard.
True.
I mean, you have a little clue, but some people will have no clue, and they'll be like, you can sit in your bedroom and race a race? What?
Right, so that's why I feel like the beginning was actually a good paced introduction.
And the racing itself is very exciting. And there's a lot of it. It's not just I was thinking, they're just going to, there's going to be a lot of build-up and then a big race. But there's a lot of races, and all the races are top-notch. The way they were filmed is really, it's a lot of drone shots. It's a lot of really, I don't even know how they did some of the shots. How did they do the shot where it looks like a video game, but it's not. It's real life. The chase cam view of the car.
Mm-hmm.
Do they just follow, with a drone, follow the car?
Seems like it, but then we are talking about a video game company that makes that game look really good.
Yeah.
So.
But there are some impressive shots. There are some crashes that look insane.
Scary.
Yeah. And there's a crash in this movie that looked insane. When I was watching it, I was like, is that really how that crash would look? That is a really weird crash. It just looks funny. If I didn't know, I'd be going, that CGI looks funny. It looks like a weird flying car. And then we went and looked at the real, this is based on real life. And there was a crash, that exact crash, and the real crash looks identical to it. They really paid attention. And spoilers, let's say some spoilers here. There's a tragedy in the middle of the movie that it actually involves a real person dying, right? Mm-hmm. And that could have been handled...
Real person.
Yeah, that's the part where I was like, oh, this... I know it's kind of controversial even to like cover that.
You couldn't skip that because people will investigate this true story, quote unquote, and be like, why did you ignore that? So the story is this guy, the video game / simulator winner of the competition, gets to be in a real life race. He's racing on a German car race track.
Nürburgring.
And all the things came together to where his car caught the wind. It flipped up. It hit the wall. It flipped over the fence into a crowd of spectators who, upon investigation, were actually illegally in that spot, sadly. And when his car hit, he injured a bunch of people and one person died. And so that's the real story. That you couldn't have left that out because that was part of his thing, right? And is he still racing now? So he took a break.
He took a break to actually be in this movie.
Right.
Yeah. He's actually, the real guy, Jan Mardenborough, is in this movie as the stuntman for the real guy, for the actor, sorry.
I just think if you'd left it out, then you were like, you guys are just trying to make this look like a happy little fairy tale, when in fact, that's pretty hardcore.
Early on in the movie, you said to me, do you know this story? And I said, yes, I do. I kind of roughly know the story. You know what? That part I didn't know.
Right.
So I was actually shocked. I was like, what? They show you the incident. And if you just saw the incident, you wouldn't know somebody had died, right? It's not like that. They don't show it.
I immediately thought that somebody had to die. And when they showed the car crashing into the fence and there's a bunch of people there, I was like,
yeah,
that's why I was crying. I was like, oh my God. And then I thought, I know he doesn't die because I knew that at least I would have known that part of the story, right? Yeah. So I was just like, damn, this is tough.
And the interesting part is that's just one little bit of the story and not really though. Like there's a lot more to this story than that. And that is like a tragedy part.
Yeah.
There's like all kinds of like on the track stuff. You know, there's the whole race industry thinking that this sim racing thing's a joke. Yep. Why is this guy even on the track? What an idiot. They're all saying stuff. Oh, easier with a joystick, like that kind of thing.
I mean, one guy said that. And then also there was apparently a campaign after this tragic incident of other racers and teams trying to get the sim racers removed from, like, so that Nissan and Sony could no longer do this thing where they bring some schmo out of the virtual world into, like they tried to put a stop to it. But it didn't stop for many years, apparently.
No,
a few years.
Yeah, 2018 is when it ended. It's not going now, but I think there is a virtual version of the GT.
So it was set in 2011. That's when it started. So it went on for a few years.
2011 to 2018, right?
Correct.
And I had a look, there is still the GT Academy in Gran Turismo. You can go and play it, but it's just virtual. I mean, they do have a big prize. They have $1 million prize on one of and it's for the top sim racers in the world. I couldn't just go in there and get the times that they get because they are like the professional simulating driving people.
It's a simulation, yeah. So once you master the techniques and the ins and outs of the whole thing, I think it's a reasonable competition inside of itself.
So it's really exciting. It's really fun. There's like a subplot of like they put the thing in where his father's kind of like, you just sitting playing video games. That's never going to get you anywhere. There's that.
And that seems totally plausible.
Right. The father was, in real life too, the father was actually a professional football player. So he was trying to make him into a professional football player. Like, why aren't you playing football? Why aren't you outside? And didn't really see. I don't know. One of the things in the movie that was weird, I thought, was when he started coming up and they were flying him to this race, flying him to that race. Nobody seemed to be supporting him. Like, he got a little call off his mom.
Father said at the end he was sorry he didn't support him properly. So knowing families who have very broken relationships between fathers and sons, and it infects everybody. And so if in that household, I don't know, I'm making this up, if in that household the father was more intense about it than we saw, right? It kind of made him look like a loving father who was just
Like, what's
scared.
my son doing?
Yeah, scared that his son's going to end up being nothing or whatever. But in reality, we don't know. So in that household, if this son went off to do this and the father hated that, maybe the mom knew not to talk about it and we're not calling him. And, you know, we don't know. But that was the vibe I got, that it was kind of absent of family support because they just didn't know what to do with it, right? I mean, as the guy who invented the idea, Orlando Bloom / the elf, he invented the whole idea, right? So it's never been done before to take a video game
Nobody knows what's going to happen.
Right. So you would be, his father said, you know, it's a gimmick. They're just using you, whatever. And so maybe the whole time, that's all he thought.
Right. So it does have family drama, racing action, tragedy, really exhilarating parts where a lot of the things which was between him and his coach, played by David Harbour.
Hopper.
Yeah. Some of that stuff was really inspiring. Like, you know, you kind of, you want to punch the air kind of thing, right?
Yes, I really liked that. And I don't doubt that that's how it was, but, you know, I don't know these people. So
they didn't seem to fake anything. All the racing that they did was on the tracks. I don't know if they were CG tracks or not, but for me, it all looked legitimate. If they're on the Nürburgring, it looks like they're on there. But like you said, they can make the game look amazing. Maybe they aren't.
But I mean, if Sony has access to all these places, all the people, all their technology because of the game,
yeah, true.
Then the leap to say, well, of course, you know, Sony / whoever the filmmaker is, has access.
Yeah, one thing I really liked was how the movie started too, with like this guy, Kaz, the guy who started Gran Turismo, the programming company. It was showing you him and saying, this guy had a vision to make the ultimate racing game. And this is what it's called. Because for me, I know all that, but you got to address the audience, haven't you? You could be anybody.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah. So let's get on to the cast here. David Harbour plays Jack Salter. What would you say he is? He's the he's got a backstory too. He used to be a racer.
He's the chief engineer for the team for Le Mans. No, what's it called? The snotty people with the gold car.
Yeah, I forgot the name of them. I just read on History versus Hollywood that is an actual racing team. They made that one up for this.
Right.
They couldn't use whatever the real.
So was that guy not real? He was real.
The guy was real, but the gold car racing team are not real.
Right. So we did. You know why? Because it made them look like
real
dickheads.
asshole-ish. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, gold cars. Fair enough, right? If you want to be top of the elite, that's cool. But yeah, portrayed them very unpleasantly. Now, I think I'm middle of the road on the Hopper guy. I say Hopper because I only really knew him from
Stranger Things.
Correct. And then from a Marvel movie, was it?
Yeah, he was in Black Widow.
Right. And that was fine. But then also Violent Night.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like, now and this makes me more and more like, you know what? I like his commitment. And that was one of his themes in the movie, actually, was commit. Like, if you're going to do this, don't be afraid. You can't be afraid to step on the brake or step on the gas or take the turn or whatever. And
yeah.
I feel like the actor commits to whatever moment he's in. And I feel like together, when they did some scenes together, they were both better, even.
I thought he was good. There was one scene where he was talking, where he gave him the Walkman as a present.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking, and it was I was like, how the hell's he doing? That's some acting he's doing there.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, like he's actually looks emotional, which...
That's his job.
What's he thinking of? Yeah, I know it's his job, but I mean, I could see it happening. Like, oh, he's getting emotional. We got Orlando Bloom as Danny Moore. What do you think of Orlando?
He was very enthusiastic. He was fine.
And kind of, though, like...
sleazy?
Kind of weasel sleazy, wasn't he?
A little bit.
He would do some weird shit. It was his idea to do this whole thing. But then it came down to... There was this part of the movie where it came down to like a 1/10 of a second between two of them.
Not even a 1/10 of a second, less than that.
Yeah, and he was like kind of looking, going, which one of these... We could just say either of these won. Well, which one's the best? Like for my marketing.
Yes, all he cared about was camera ready. And the other guy was more of a smooth talker, like the standard, the way they showed the other drivers being kind of act like jerks and real cocky and shit. He liked that guy, whereas our guy just seemed like young guy, and he didn't seem rude or hateful or overly competitive or anything.
And didn't want to play up to the camera.
Right. And so the guy who invented this whole competition, basically wanting to sell it to the world, wants the guy who's Mr. Slick. And because the race was so close, he's like, who cares who really won? And you're just like, what? Yeah. So then we see in the background, the creator of Gran Turismo game is standing there listening. And then the next thing you know, our guy, the winner, is the winner.
Exactly.
You have to see it to know what we mean, but we know what we mean.
Yeah. So I think Orlando Bloom did a good job. Especially, I definitely think he captured the sleazy quality because he was okay. And then there was times where I was like, oh, what an asshole.
Yeah.
The main guy, Archie Madekwe, plays Jan Mardenborough. And he's the sim racer. Jan, sorry, yeah. What do you think of him? He was
really, really, really good.
And I was thinking...
Really, I don't have another word. Excellent. Superior. Superior to his own performance. I don't know, but he was really good.
He was good at playing, like, at the beginning, like, he's just, he's fish out of water. He doesn't really know what he's going in for.
Yeah, but he also had enough... He
had a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, and he didn't play it, like, scared of everybody, because when the gold driver guy was a dickhead, he went right up to him and gave him a shove and was just like, what the fuck is your problem? Because the gold guy in the car cheats and bumps into his car, and then just being the person he is, he stands right up to him. And so I was like, that's good. He's not like afraid. He's not like what people think of your little gamer person sitting in his little room afraid of the world or anything. He's just a person who's not going to take any shit from anybody. And I liked that. And then when he's getting inspired or needing to get that hero moment,
right?
He doesn't do it in that, like, 0 to 60. I'm using a car reference there.
Wow, that's really
clever. He doesn't
do
it like that. It's more subtle. Like, he's really contemplating, like, am I failing? Am I doing okay? And then there's the next phase, and it's all on his face. And then there's the, like, okay, I'm all in. You know what I mean? I feel like he did that really well.
Yeah. We've got his parents, played by Jerry Horner, plays Leslie Mardenborough, and Digimon Hounsu plays Steve Mardenborough. So it's a Spice Girl and what's he from? Digimon.
Well, I mean, he's in lots of things.
He's from Marvel, right?
He was in, he's also in Jurassic Park, I think, wasn't he? One of them.
I mean, we've seen him in a lot of things.
Yeah.
They were good parents. I believe them.
I did too. Especially when she was crying and they're watching on TV when he wrecks.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was crying because I'm like, my heart just sank. Like, anybody doing...
like, it's my little boy.
Yeah.
Like,
anybody. Then I thought of all the mothers and parents of all the people who do dangerous things. And even if some would argue, then we shouldn't have dangerous extreme sports because it's a stupid risk of life, right? That's right. One camp over there. I think if you go into it open-eyed and you know what could happen, then I think we should have the extreme people doing the extreme stuff because I won't ever do it. And I thought of all those parents of anything like that, car racing. What else is a dangerous thing? Even if you're watching like a motorcycle event or skateboarding, even just sports, like a football player could break their neck. I mean, American football player, a regular soccer player, as you would like to call it. No, you call it
soccer.
Is it
we call it football.
Is it European football or just football?
Just football.
So soccer, your son could break their leg and ruin their whole career. And you're just watching, like, with your fists clenched or whatever. That's what I thought of in that moment. Because she did a really good job of being, like, terrified that her son had died.
Yeah. And we're talking about, when I said Jerry Horner, yes, that Jerry Horner, Ginger Spice from the Spice Girls.
I bet a lot of people don't know who Jerry Horner is.
That's why I was saying it. But they do know who the Spice Girls is. Most people, I think. Maybe not the younger generation.
Or maybe people don't give a shit.
Yeah.
They're like, Spice Girls. Okay, whatever.
But I actually was impressed by her. She was good. Neil Blomkamp is the director. You'll know him. He directed District 9, which was an awesome movie, and the Matt Damon movie, Elysium. Do you remember that one? Mm-hmm. So he's a sci-fi background guy. He was also going to direct a Halo movie at some point, but that never came to be. So here he is doing a video game-ish movie. What do you think of him?
Well, that was really good. The end. I mean, everything I've said.
He has actually got a style to him.
Yeah, and everything I've said comes together, right? People's performances, the look, the standard of the look is very high. The look of every race, the shots, everything is very high because you have a director who is essentially a project manager, right? I'm an elevated project manager in the creative world to say, you know, this shot where we do this scene where the cars bump. Well, I don't think that looks good enough. Let's Or in this scene where you guys are like when Digimon and the son are at the near the end and they're both crying. I felt like, oh my God. I mean, he's just had them pull out this very deep emotion, which was very touching. And I think that's down to a good director.
I agree. I really like District 9. It's such a good movie.
It is. It's very different. I mean, if you're going to recommend it, then I would say to people, give it a shot because it's fascinating. It's not like any sort of like, it's not action, is it?
I mean, it has action, but yeah, it's really good. And it was very, very low budget for the time, but you wouldn't think it was low budget because it had so much stuff in it. Like, you know.
And it looked good.
Just a cool movie.
I guess it looked good. Maybe if I watched it again. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I remember us thinking it looked good, but time has moved on.
Yeah.
So, IMDb reviews, what are those?
Those are reviews that you like to read that have 1 star because you think it's hilarious.
Yeah, so these are the people who didn't like this movie. And what's wrong with you?
We're going to find out.
Let's see what's wrong with... watch me not be able to find any 1-star reviews.
Oh, have you not prepared?
Oh, I found some.
Okay.
First guy says, if you like racing and motorsports, you'll find this movie fake. The movie Le Mans 66 is a great racing movie, but this movie is not made by people who do any racing. I'm sorry to say.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't watch a lot of racing and I don't race, so maybe they're right.
Second guy says, everything about this film is bad. The acting, the storyline, the directing, and the music, it's all poor. It's too long of a film with such a boring storyline. It feels like the director made a 5-hour film and had to cut it down to 2.5. Probably the worst film I've seen in years.
Oh my God.
And then finally, in the realm of cinema, the racing genre has a history filled with thrilling spectacles, heart-pounding action, and memorable characters. Unfortunately, this is a big piece of caca.
Oh, they started off so good.
The end.
Big piece of caca.
Yeah, it started off good, and then it just turned into shit. All right, so those are the people who didn't like this movie. And what's wrong with you? I'm telling you.
We're some of the people who do.
So I'm going to give a score now for this movie. We didn't see any extras because we saw the streaming version. But let's give this movie a score. I'm going to give Gran Turismo an 8 out of 10.
I'm giving it an 8.2. I'm competing with you.
It's above average. If you think you're going in for some video game movie, that it's not that. It's a really interesting, true story. And I believe it keeps you on the edge of your seat the way it is paced.
And I'm going to be the devil's advocate here. I don't believe in any devils, but you know what I'm saying. The flip side is people would say, oh, you're trying to sell this as an idea of a kid who just comes from a neighborhood in London. Is that where he lived?
Yes.
And his dreams come true to be a famous car driver. But you're doing that on the back of this multi-billion-dollar business, and he could only have done it with lots of money and blah, blah, blah. Or you're supporting the idea that you have to get in a world where there's lots of money to support your dream, and it's oppressive and blah, blah, blah. I get that.
Yes.
On some level. But it literally was a dude, just what it was. He lived in his family in his little house, and if he didn't do this, then we don't know what he was going to do. He was working in a clothing store selling clothes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like I get the idea that some people don't want to support the big multi-billion-dollar corporate, oppressive, exclusive type of things. But this is a person in real life who that was his dream, right? His dream was to be the car racer.
Uh-huh.
Not to be a billionaire, that we could tell, a billionaire car race team owner or anything. He just wanted to drive the fastest race cars ever. And that dream, I feel like, is a fair story, regardless of the politics or the money or any of that stuff.
Yes. Well said. Well done.
Thanks.
So next week will be in October. So let's move on to the horrors with The Boogeyman. You ready for that one?
Moving on to the horrors.
It's horrors. October, isn't it?
Yes,
Halloween.
I want all Halloween movies.
Well, that's what we do in October, so I'm saying next week.
Well, you don't always, so I'm very impressed that you're going to do it.
Next week, The Boogeyman.
Beautiful.
Movie recommendations, I'm going to give you District 9 and Spice Girls the movie. Spice World. The Spice Girls movie, when the Spice Girls were around, I really liked them. There's just something about them. They're really charming. Some of the songs were good.
You still like them.
I do. I'm just saying, and then that movie came out. And I watched that movie, and I can honestly say, and I'll give anything a shot, that it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. But if it came on TV now and I was watching it, I could watch it. But it's so bad. I don't even know what they were thinking when they made it. But
they were thinking about money.
They were, but I mean...
Nobody cared. So they didn't have...
I guess it didn't matter what they did.
Exactly. Didn't matter because people will still be in love with it. So there's probably people who watch that movie every year and have a party.
It's so bad. Even if you like the Spice Girls, you're looking at it going, what is this? It's so strange.
You mean like the Kiss movie?
Yeah, I would put it on the same level, yeah. Yeah. That Kiss movie, what was it? Phantoms of the...
So basically they were just following a tradition.
Yeah.
Make a really bad band movie.
So District 9 and Spice World.
And mine are, I am in the 21st century, but I'm going back over all the movies from the 21st century since 2000 that are science fiction that I have seen. So I'm just breaking down the list. It's not all of them because I can't squeeze them all in. But here are a few. And it's not about quality. It's about quantity. This is how many science fiction movies I've seen from between the year 2000 and now. Vivarium from 2019. I don't think we loved it, but we could have. It had a lot of potential. A Quiet Place Part 2 in 2020. I love Quiet Place World. I think that's a really good story.
Yes.
I really enjoy the moments where, she's giving birth silently. She steps on a nail that goes in her foot silently. Even if I think about it.
I bet...
I'm lifting my foot up off the floor. I'm like, oh my God. That kind of stuff.
Emily wishes that was blunt.
Yeah. That's a movie joke, if anyone didn't get that. Bloodshot from 2020.
That was Vin Diesel. It was terrible.
Okay. Possessor from 2020.
Awesome.
It was very interesting, very weird.
Yes.
And I like weird. And The Invisible Man from 2020.
I liked it more than you did.
Yeah. Watch them all. I don't tell you what to watch. I'm just saying these are some in my collection that are in my brain. And that's it.
All right, I'm going to go with Ascully stuff now. I've been playing a game this week, Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. It came out this week. It's the new DLC expansion pack for Cyberpunk. And it's not just like a small DLC. It's like adding a whole new game. I think it's $30. It adds a whole new area to the game with a brand new story that is like 25 to 30 hours long. The main game stars Keanu Reeves. The expansion stars Idris Elba. What it is, it's like the main game of Cyberpunk is like this Cyberpunk story. This expansion pack is like, it's Cyberpunk mixed with espionage and like a James Bond adventure, I would call it. So you're a spy, you're going undercover. It's not just shooting everybody like the other game is. It's more like trying to talk your way out of situations. Idris Elba's in it. He's really cool. I haven't finished it yet. I'm about halfway through. But there's a mission in the expansion pack called You Know My Name, and it's in about the middle of the expansion pack. That is the best mission I've played in the whole of the Cyberpunk game. It beats the other game,
nice. Hands
down. It's so good. So it's worth the price. If you like Cyberpunk, I would get the expansion pack just to play that mission. I mean, it might get better. I'm only about halfway through. Sito, what's for dinner?
Tonight, I think we're going to go with the Jersey Mike's. And if Jersey Mike's wants to sponsor us without us telling the world how great they are, or ever mentioning them again, that'd be great.
That would be great.
I mean, we'll tell you the truth because we've had some shitty Jersey Mike's in the past.
Oh, we have, yes.
Oh, my goodness. And then called to tell them. And the guy's like, well, that can't be because I'm the only one here. So I'm the one, and I'm like, I'm looking at this tomato that's the end of a tomato. Like the brown, yucky part of the tomato. We want us to send you a picture. And I'm like, my husband's already posting it on Google. And by now, after how many years, it's gotten thousands of hits,
hilarious.
Right?
every now and then I get an email.
So maybe Jersey Mike's doesn't want to sponsor us.
I do. I get an email every now and then saying your photograph on Google reviews is exceptionally viewed. And
it's not. It's fair because that guy was not willing to fix the situation. No. And so we sort of stayed away from Jersey Mike's for a while. Now when I go, this was a delivery. So you have no control. You're not face to face with them, right? I'm not opposed to delivery. We love that too. But certain places don't thrive well.
But when you call them up and say it's wrong and they say, no, it wasn't wrong. Bye.
No, it's not. Yeah. And then I'm like, is your manager there? And he was like, he'll be here tomorrow. And I was just like, So then I did call. I did get a coupon. I don't think I ever went and used it. But so, yeah, Jersey Mike's, if you're listening.
Yeah, well done. We give you the worst review on
Google.
Me
Can you sponsor $1 million, then I will mention Jersey Mike's every week for a month. You think that's fair price?
Mm-hmm.
$1 million for 1 month of advertising.
$1 million.
And if it's good, I'll tell the world or the people who listen to this podcast how good it is.
1 million viewers.
Yeah. Is it? Do we? There's 1 million people listening?
Hopefully.
I just got stage fright. No, not really. I discovered something. This is a side note. I don't think I'm afraid of public speaking. I get anxiety, knowing I'm going to get in front of some people or have to meet someone for the first time or, present anything, even just like a meeting or a conversation. But I'm actually okay with it. I feel like I'm enough of a, bullshitter. I can not bullshit as in the things I'm saying are bullshit, but.
Sometimes.
My personality lets me relax pretty quickly into the moment where I get over the anxiety part and I'm just talking to people. So I'm good with that. So if anybody's afraid of public speaking, maybe you aren't really. So give it a shot.
Well, what if we went and did this podcast in the mall?
In our mall, there would be no one watching us.
Yeah, exactly. All right,
we would be fine.
That's true. There'd be less people there than there is here.
We don't have a great mall.
We do not.
If we did it in front of a live audience, I'd be fine.
All right.
I'm imagining everyone listening now who's sitting here in this room with us. It would be very crowded, but I'm imagining them here right over my shoulder.
A lady on Twitter tweeted at me and said, "Oh, I'm watching The Walking Dead until the bitter end as well." And I was like, Oh. And then I was like, it dawned on me. People actually listen to what we're saying.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God, somebody's listening.
Now I'm nervous, but So here's my advice that's not advice.
All right.
Right?
Yes.
So it's kind of inspired by this movie, and also a lot of people know me, possibly be surprised about what I'm going to say here, but I don't participate in competitions. I'm not sporty. I don't enter art competitions or whatever the thing I like to do. I do some art, photography, gardening. I don't enter competitions. I'm not competitive as in I need to be the best at the thing for the world, right? Or for feedback from the world. I like to be really good at the individual things just because it's very satisfying. It gives me a rush. It gives me, when I take a nice photo or I draw something and then I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, that's really good. That's enough for me, right? And I do compare to other things because I want to know the skills that are required, the discipline that's required to know how to grow a good tomato or to know how to use a camera like this. It's technical, right? You need to know technical things in almost anything that you're going to do. So I'm into learning all that and being really good at it for myself. I'm not competitive outward facing necessarily. I do like people to like what I do, but it is not, that's a bonus. But if you were to put me in a position to be a coach of something, I would be like, look, you're in a competition to win. Everything you need to win, you need to do. If you do not want to win, if you want to be 5th place or 10th place or whatever, and you're an individual at that sport, if you're a tennis player or you run marathons or whatever the thing is, if you're an individual person and you want to just place in a race or you just want to complete races on your own and you want to know that you can do it, okay, then that's the standard we're setting and that is what we're going to work on. If you want to win and you're in a team that needs to win, because that's the point, I'm going to expect you to have the mentality of winning. because that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be a very, like, meticulous, I wouldn't be the yelling, put you down, make you feel bad about yourself kind of coach. And yes, those exist, hopefully less and less, but I would be the kind to be like, look, if you want to be the best runner, then we're going to study running. We're going to learn about your body. We're going to learn about aerodynamics. We're going to learn about the cloth that you're putting on your body, about how your foot hits the ground, how long it takes you to take a step, everything. If you want to win every race, you better commit to this or I'm out. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I have that two thing going on. And I think, so you can be either one. I'm competitive as in I like to be good at things or know things really well, but I'm not in a race against someone else. It doesn't need to be better than someone else, just better than I did it before. But I completely understand the concept of being the best out in the world up against somebody for the prize or for the, you know, if you want to be the best brain surgeon in the world, then you would apply the exact same practice, right? You not just practice doing it, but I mean, the same methodology, just
right.
Be the best at it. Don't use excuses. Don't back down. Don't let up. Don't give up. If you're overwhelmed, we'll figure it out, whatever it is. So I feel like I understand both sides. A lot of people hate competition because there's always a loser. Well, then don't get in a competition.
Exactly.
Right? Like if I wanted to run a marathon, which I never will, it wouldn't be to win or to like beat anyone's time. It would be like, oh my God, I was able to run / walk / crawl 26 miles. And that makes me a winner. You know what I mean? I'd be like, that's my competing with myself. Like the idea that I can do it. And that would be enough for me for that. But if you're the person who's like, I could win that marathon, well then buckle up, buttercup, because you're going to have to do the shit that it takes to get there. So I feel like I have a split personality.
Very nice, Sid Talk. Well done.
Yeah, it's not advice. It's just me telling you about myself.
It is. Ascully.com is the place you can go for this podcast. You can get it on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, YouTube. We're on social media, Instagram, X, and Threads. I actually made an account on Threads, posted the first podcast on it. And never went there again. So, no, we're not on Threads. You can email feedback to me, ascully@ascully.com. Do not email Sid Talk. She doesn't want your emails. And stay classy, PlayStation Studios. This was a very good movie based on a video game.
It wasn't based
True
on
event.
Yeah. Don't say based on a video game.
/ True event.
It's inspired by. And I'm going to say think for yourself. Because if you don't do it, someone else might do it for you. Oh, no. They will do it for you.